Welcome back to another episode of Marcel Hyde Mindset. Remember to click that like button, subscribe to the channel. And if you're getting any type of value from these episodes that I do produce, please make sure that you are not gatekeeping, but you are sharing this information to someone. Maybe some of the things that I say don't apply to you, but there is someone that you wanted to get this message across to. You try to give them the same message that I'm delivering on the show here, but they weren't able to maybe receive it from you because it was coming from you. Maybe the relationship you have with them is too close, so they have to hear from a third party, somebody else who's saying the same thing you're saying, right? So the message isn't always for you. Sometimes you hear a message is for somebody else. Maybe someone was talking to you about a situation, then you hear an episode or a podcast, then it's a great opportunity to share that to someone, because that is what life is all about. Life is all about learning every day, gaining knowledge, gaining skills, and the things that you learn, giving it to other people, sharing it with other people, using it to help other people. What is life really about if we're not, sharing the gifts that we have, helping other people, trying to see other people develop, trying to see other people grow, trying to get people to become the best version of themselves, be the best version of them. The world will be a better place if every individual decides that, I'm going to decide to be the best version of myself, because you're going to realize to become the best version of yourself, you're going to have to go on a journey, right? And when you go on that journey, you're going to have to transform. You're going to have to be a person that you've never been before, right? You're going to go through trials, which in turn is going to make you a stronger person. You're going to go through a bunch of adversity, which is going to test you, right? You're going to go through so much when you decide that you're not going to be average. You're not going to settle for less than you know that you deserve. You're not going to just settle for the bare minimum, because you are put here to be, the best version of yourself. You're put here to evolve into something, right? When you're young, you can only do so much. When you get older, you have more of a mind. You have more, your brains develop more. You get more intellectual. You get more educated, and then from there, it gives you the opportunity to earn income. Gives you the opportunity to become something, right? So that is essentially what life is all about. Enjoy each and every chapter, because life is quick. So I want to say enjoy each chapter. If you're going through a period of your life where it's not the greatest chapter, maybe it's dark, maybe it's dull, maybe it's, filled with things you never expected, that situation will pass. You will get through that hump. You will get through that hurdle. You will get over the situation. Believe me, it all will change for you. All right. So sometimes these seasons are brought to you because you're needing to learn something. Sometimes these seasons are brought to you because of your previous actions that you've taken or haven't taken, or your previous behaviors have led you into certain chapters in your life. And if you've not taken the right action in your life, or you've displayed poor behavior in your life, and you're in a situation and you're trying to figure out, how do I get out of this? You just have to change your behavior and change your actions. And it's not going to happen the next day, but over time, because your behavior has changed, your habits have changed, you will be in a better situation. Okay. I'm currently reading a book by 2 Chainz. He's a rapper. I like some of his music. I like hip hop, I like EDM, I like house, I like a variety of all different music. I like jazz. I like, just music in general. I enjoy music, the vibrations, what it kind of does to my soul, how it makes me feel, how I can go to the gym and it pumps me up to get through my workout, although I don't want to get through it or do it, right? I'm in the gym, I'm in a fitness class, and it just pumps me up even more. So those are some of the reasons I like music, but I'm also aware that, music is also programming as well too. And the things that you're hearing, you have to be very careful and aware of, right? Because sometimes it could be demeaning to certain groups, to certain races, right? Certain cultures. So just understanding that what you're listening to sometimes, and the lyrics of what you're listening, right? If it's repeated over and over in your again in your head, obviously you get programmed. But I use it for different purposes. And if it's programming you in a way where it's negative and having you look at someone negative, then you need to reevaluate what music you're listening to. But the main thing I want to get at, 2 Chainz, circle back to 2 Chainz, is he has a book out, and I suggest everybody read it, because throughout the book, right, I'm not reading it, I'm listening to the audio version. It says something told me, right? That voice in your head is God, is essentially the title of the book. Throughout the book, it always talks about something told me, right? Something told me to get away from that person. Something told me to take that course. Something told me that a new job opportunity is coming. Something told me to not trust that individual. Something told me to not respond to that message or that person. Something told me to distance myself from a certain individual. Something told me to upgrade this certain skill. Something told me to move over here. Something told me to, talk to that person. Something told me to shoot that video. Something told me to post that episode, right? So something is always telling us to do something, right? Something told me. And so many times, something tells you something and you don't trust it. You don't listen to it. And then in the end, you're like, oh, why didn't I listen to that voice in my head? Because we all have that voice in our head. We all have that something told me to, right? And we don't act on it. Something told me to make a left here, but then I made a right. Or something told me to make a right, and then my friend told me to make a left, and I made the left, and it wasn't the right direction. It wasn't the right way. So, getting in touch with yourself and trusting that something in your head that's telling you to do something, you have to start going with that. Because to get further in your life, to develop into a person where people want to follow, people trust, and I'm all about mindset and leadership. To be a leader, you have to believe in yourself, number one, but you also have to, something told you something in your mind. You have to trust that, right? When something told you that something is not right over here, you have to trust that. And I believe that comes from God, right? For you, that could be a higher power, right? God's placing things in your head because he's guiding and leading and directing you. But a lot of times people reject that. They're rejecting that voice in their head that's telling them to do something different, to do something that's going to help them elevate, that's going to help them, stop dealing with anxiety, or something's telling them to do something so it helps them with their depression, or something's telling them to do something so it can help them with their relationship. Something is telling them something that can help them with their health. But how many times have you neglected, that voice in your head, that idea that pops in your mind? How many times you just said, "Oh, it's not true," or you second guessing, then you don't do it, right? How many times have you done that? And I know a lot of people have done that because I have done that. I believe every human being has done that. But once you start to trust that something is telling you to do something, right? You get further in your life. More people will trust you. More people will believe in you, right? Because ultimately, people want to be around people that believe in themselves. Ultimately, people want to be around people that trust their own selves, right? People want to be around, as much as they want to hate on leaders, they want to be around leaders because at the end of the day, the hate is just coming from a place of, I wish I was like that person. I want to be like that person. I want to have that stable mind like that person. I want that confidence like that person. So at the end of the day, people want to be around people like that. So you have to work on trusting that inner voice that you're having, that inner thoughts that you're having, that guidance that you're getting, but yet you're rejecting. You're like, I want better results in my life, but you're getting all these ideas and then you're not acting on those ideas that are coming into your head. You're rejecting them all. And you have to figure out, why am I rejecting all those ideas that are coming into my head? Why am I not trusting my own self? Why am I not trusting that inner voice that I have? Like, and you have to get to the root of that. I'm not a therapist, so I'm not able to figure out why you're not trusting yourself, or why you're not believing in the thoughts that you're having, or why you're not believing in your inner voice, or, if something's telling you to do something, you're not believing it. I'm not quite sure what the situation is or what the case is, but if you're unsure if you should trust it, then this is the channel where I'm telling you that inner voice, that inner guidance, you need to trust it. You need to believe in it, right? And I can't tell you for you because I'm only in my own head. I'm not in anybody's head, right? I can't be in anybody's head. I'm not a mind reader. I don't know if that is even possible. If I can actually, think or know exactly what somebody else is thinking. I could see based on people's body language that maybe they're sad, maybe they're not happy, maybe they don't like me, maybe they don't, are not interested, whatever it is, by their body language, but actually what they're thinking in their mind. I don't know if too many people have the ability to actually think about what someone is thinking in their mind, right? But I'm here to help you change your own thinking in your mind to help you, number one, think better thoughts. Number two, trust those ideas that are coming to you. Trust that inner guidance is coming to you. Don't stop rejecting it and pushing it away and, ignoring it or not believing that it's real, that it's trying to help you, right? I don't know why we think so many times in our life that life is supposed to work against us, right? Life is hard, of course, and life will be hard and there will be challenges, adversities, but ultimately you're supposed to believe that things are going to work out for you. Things are going to work in your favor, right? It's not going to be easy for it to just work in your favor, but at the end of the day, you have to have the mindset that, you know, things will work out for you. Things in your life are going to get good. Things in your life are going to improve. You're going to get good results in your life. You're going to have healthy relationships in your life. You're going to have healthy people around you in your life. You have to think these thoughts because not only are you going to attract that, but you're also going to act in a certain way when you want that into your life. So if you know you want healthy people in your life, it's going to force you to be a healthy person. And there's different ways you could be a healthy person. You can, be connected to some type of mosque or be connected with some type of church. You can go to the gym. You can read positive books. You can listen to positive podcasts, right? So it's going to force you to work on yourself because you want to attract that, right? So it's your actions plus your thinking. It's not just your thinking alone because you can think any thought you want, right? You can think, that you want to be a millionaire. You can think that you want to an exclusive vehicle, but that just thinking alone is not going to bring that into your life. Thinking might allow you to see it in your surroundings. Like thinking might make you see a exclusive vehicle. Thinking might make you see mansions or people who have money, but to actually manifest that for yourself is going to require you to actually do the work, do the action, take the action steps, right? So, I thought it's a great book to read. And it was a reminder for me to start, something told me to shoot this video here today about this particular topic because a lot of people are struggling with that. A lot of people are struggling with trusting themselves. A lot of people are struggling with listening to their inner voice and believing that, something told me to get away from this person and I continue going around that person and they burn me. And I didn't listen to that inner voice. So how many times are you going to get burnt before you listen to the inner voice inside of you telling you that, it's time to distance yourself from someone, or it's time to pivot, or it's time to change lanes, or it's actually time to leave a particular job, right? That you've been in for maybe 10, 15 years, right? But we ignore it. And then when something massive happens, then at that point, that's when we're like, okay, now I need to leave. Don't wait for that to happen. Listen to the first calling out to you in your mind that it's time to shift, right? So I hope you guys found some value from this episode. I don't want to go on and on and on and on and on. I'm sure you get the point. You could read the book by Two Chains. I think it's a great read, or you can listen to an audiobook. I haven't finished it yet. I'm really just savoring it because every time I listen to it, I learn a new gem. But the main premise is something told me, right? Something told me to shoot this video here to you guys today. And I hope you guys are getting a bunch of value. You're sharing the videos, you're subscribing, you're liking, right? All right. So let's become better leaders in our life. Let's keep our minds set on achievement, winning, success, on the right things, because at the end of the day, that's what we're destined for. All right. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. Peace and love. Until next time. Salute.